This reality show features a continuous pursuit of individuals. 14 ordinary UK citizens participate, divided into 8 teams. They assume the roles of fugitives, evading capture by hunters. If they successfully evade capture for 28 days, they win a £100,000 prize. The game is confined to the UK. Fugitives cannot leave the country but can hide anywhere else. Each contestant has £450 in their bank account for escape purposes. The capture team consists of 30 elite agents from around the world. The first fugitive, named Alan, is informed of his need to flee while he is asleep at home. Upon hearing that the hunters will arrive within an hour, he quickly packs his bags. During the packing, Alan's young son, seeing his father's urgency, hands him a gun. In this season of Stealth Track, contestants can participate solo or in teams. 2 are solo, including Alan. Alan, a former doctor who resigned due to funding issues, is known for his blunt speech, which often offends others. Just as he is about to leave, he remembers he hasn't urinated since morning, and with no time to return to the house, he relieves himself in a nearby woodland before escaping on his motorcycle. Alan's cameraman films the escape from the motorcycle's back seat. Each team has a cameraman who documents their entire escape. Next, we meet contestants Emily and her close friend Lauren. Upon receiving the escape notification, Emily quickly packs and calls Lauren. Despite appearing disheveled, they are well prepared, choosing a nondescript car and withdrawing £300 from an ATM, a risky move as it exposes their location to the hunters. The hunters discover Alan's use of 2 cars and 5 motorcycles, including his licensed motorcycle, which they enter into a license plate recognition system. This exposes Alan's location whenever he rides on major roads. However, just as the hunters think they can easily capture him, Alan exits the highway early and disappears without a trace, eluding capture. Choosing a motorcycle over a car, Alan opts for flexibility in his escape. After Alan fled, another team of investigators arrived at his home. They searched the place, seizing his laptop and personal diary, which were sent back to headquarters for analysis. Meanwhile, Alan reached a friend's garage to borrow an unregistered car. His friend agreed immediately, and Alan drove off in the old car, now safe from license plate recognition systems. Elsewhere, Emily and Lauren were escaping by car when Emily grew concerned about being tracked, as the car was taken from her home without being switched. They quickly got out and planned to hitchhike north. The journey was tough, seldom finding someone to take them directly to their destination. They had to constantly move, asking people for rides, food, or a place to stay overnight. Despite the challenges, kind strangers helped them hitchhike north, covering about 400 kilometers in 3 days. They found temporary shelter near a parking lot in a shopping mall. There, Emily, watching children play, missed her son. The longing for family is inevitable during escape. While Lauren was shopping, Emily made a risky move by borrowing a stranger's phone to check on her son. After the call, Lauren asked if she felt better, but it only made Emily miss her son more. They had to move again quickly to avoid capture. Back at Emily's home, a capture team sent a 3-person squad to search for clues about Emily and her young son at night. They took everything useful, including laptops and diaries, and even took some of Emily's clothing for the police dogs to memorize her scent. Meanwhile, Emily and Lauren had found a free place to stay, but the next day, while Lauren was busy, Emily couldn't resist calling her husband to ask about their son, even considering visiting him. Her husband urged her to control herself. While she was on the phone, hunters monitoring her husband's phone located them at a caravan park in North Yorkshire. Luckily, Lauren, always vigilant, quickly moved them. However, without a car, they had to flag down vehicles by the roadside. Lauren, visibly upset, marched ahead carrying the luggage, while Emily, carrying nothing, followed behind. Ground capture teams are advancing at full speed. When it appeared that this group was about to be caught, Emily successfully flagged down a car, which carried them swiftly away. Sometimes luck really does play a big part. They were seemingly at a dead end, but fortune once again gave Emily a chance to escape. The third pair to make an appearance this season are 2 brothers. We call them the Bearded Brothers. When they received the escape notice, they were just about to leave their house and suddenly found themselves fugitives. They had to drive home immediately to pack their bags. The older brother has been married for many years, and the younger brother is about to get married to his beloved girlfriend. The brothers quickly packed their bags and sought help from a friend. Meanwhile, investigators arrived at the brothers' home, where they found a mobile phone belonging to the older brother. The phone contained an email from the younger brother stating their next destination was Kester. Armed with this clue, the capture team immediately dispatched personnel to Kester, a small coastal town. In Kester, hunters quickly spotted two men with luggage who both sported large beards. The capture team followed the suspects to a hotel. To avoid unnecessary chaos, intelligence experts instructed the capture team to double-check whether the suspects were indeed the bearded brothers. After closely inspecting photos, they realized that apart from the beards, these men looked nothing like the bearded brothers. Kester, being a small town, was quickly scoured by the hunters who confirmed the information was misleading. The bearded brothers had tricked them from the start. The email was deliberately sent by the younger brother to mislead them. In reality, they had taken a train to Manchester. It's curious why two brothers living together would communicate by email. Clearly, it was intentional. However, when the hunters learned of this clue, they couldn't confidently dismiss tracking it just in case it was true. On the other hand, Emily and Lauren, who had narrowly escaped, completely abandoned using phones and ATMs. They relied entirely on hitchhiking, a strategy that proved very effective. Without phone contact or ATM use, the capture team found it difficult to track their whereabouts. With Emily and Lauren uncatchable, the hunters shifted their focus to Alan, who had been on the run for 6 days. Initially, he traveled by motorcycle and later borrowed a rundown car from a friend, driving to the countryside in the north. Along the way, he enjoyed the beautiful natural scenery. Alan is quite cunning. Without money, he did not withdraw any himself but asked his friend Irene to help. Though Irene withdrawing money could still be monitored, to get information on Alan, capture personnel visited Irene's home. Irene likely wouldn't reveal much information, so while she was distracted, the capture team placed a hidden camera in her house. An hour later, they returned under the pretense of having forgotten something and removed the camera. From the footage, they learned that Irene had sent Alan's bank card and cash to the Williamsburg area. This clue led them to Alan's whereabouts. Alan, using an unregistered prepaid phone, called Irene to inquire about the money and learned that the police had found her. Meanwhile, the capture team had already traced a call made to Irene. They discovered Alan's location from this call, but it wasn't enough to catch him. Sensing danger, Alan quickly moved and retrieved the bank card and cash from inside a yellow excavator outside Williamsburg, then vanished again. On the other hand, the bearded brothers had fled to Manchester by train. Their next plan was to hide at a friend's house. So far, the capture team had no leads on the brothers. As long as they stayed hidden, they were safe for the time being. However, after 2 days, the younger brother desperately missed his fiancée and called her to check in. He made 2 calls, one to express his longing to his girlfriend and another to his fiancée to ask about the details of the hunters searching homes. However, these suspicious calls did not draw the capture team's attention. Instead, they refocused on Alan. This cunning fugitive had been on the run for 9 days. Investigators returned to Alan's house and thoroughly searched it again, then questioned Alan's wife, who genuinely didn't know her husband's whereabouts. Missing his wife and children after 9 days, Alan called from a public phone booth. After confirming his family and 3 children were fine, he continued his escape. On the 14th day, because Alan used an ATM to withdraw money, the capture team learned of his location. Notably, this was the first time he had exposed his location since the escape, but it was a trap set by Alan. After withdrawing the cash, he intentionally used his phone to text a friend from a cabin in the wilderness. The capture team quickly reached the cabin and conducted a thorough search. Alan was not inside, but he hadn't gone far. He hid in the nearby forest, watching the capture team. After they left disappointed, Alan confidently walked out and safely returned to the cabin. On the other side, the bearded brothers had moved to Glasgow by bus and were hiding in a friend's house. The capture team had followed them to Glasgow using their disposable phones but could not pinpoint their exact location after 12 days on the run. The younger brother, missing his fiancée, couldn't resist and called her despite having been advised by a professional not to contact family, as it would expose their temporary phone number. Unaware of the danger, they continued using the same phone to contact another friend for help. The capture team quickly located this friend, who owned a shop where the brothers thought of hiding. They were soon surrounded and captured after a futile struggle, becoming the second group to be eliminated. Switching to Alan, who had been on the run for 15 days, he was now sitting on a friend's boat, mocking the pursuing hunters. Faced with Alan's provocations, the capture team decided to intensify their efforts, offering a public reward of £250 for information leading to Alan, putting significant psychological pressure on him. To apprehend the fugitive, the team emphasized the negative impact of the escape, motivating the public to oppose them. One man even asked the team if they wanted Alan dead or alive, a tactic to deflate Alan's arrogance. Meanwhile, Alan heard a radio broadcast in the car about the police chasing a fugitive hiding in a shack in the Scottish Highlands, with a £250 reward for information. Unsure whether to be proud or worried, Alan realized it was time to be cautious. Once aware of being wanted, fear set in, worrying that anyone he met could turn him in. Soon after, a taxi driver claimed he might have transported Alan. The last drop-off was a small hotel. The ground capture team quickly headed to the location and found someone resembling Alan, although it was a case of mistaken identity based on just a photograph. Let's take a look at the sister duo, Emily and Lauren. They have been on the run for 12 days, and the capture team still has no leads. It's not that the hunters are incompetent. Emily and Lauren are just very resilient, relying entirely on strangers for help, staying in their homes or doing odd jobs for small amounts of money. Since day one of their escape, they haven't withdrawn money from any ATMs, traveling almost across the entire UK. However, the prolonged escape, coupled with stress and anxiety, is starting to wear Lauren down. She feels exhausted, and just when she thinks of resting, they have to flee again. A lot of this is due to Emily, who has been causing trouble early on. Lauren doesn't show her negative emotions, and she wanted to take a walk alone, but this upset Emily. She couldn't understand why Lauren would want to act alone, leaving her to worry by herself. Lauren had fun in the town, but Emily grew more irritable and eventually abandoned Lauren to escape alone. Meanwhile, Alan is preparing to flee south from Scotland. He's in a public phone booth, asking a neighbor to leave £150 in cash under the lawnmower in the shed at his old house, where he provocatively left a disposable phone for the hunters to take. When the hunters opened the phone, the first message read, "You've been played," revealing a flaw in Alan's plan. He hadn't deleted any messages or contact numbers. The capture team then impersonated Alan, sending messages to his friends, adding to his psychological burden. When he realized the hunters were impersonating him, it was a significant pressure for Alan, who relies heavily on friends' support. He began to distrust everyone. On the other side, the capture team finally made a breakthrough. 3 days ago, Alan called a friend from a public phone booth who was under surveillance. They obtained surveillance footage near the booth, learning what car Alan was driving and its license plate number. Using a license plate recognition system, they could easily track Alan's movements on major roads. Just as Alan was about to visit a friend who asked what his next steps were, Alan said he'd continue south. The friend offered to drive Alan to the train station. Alan's license plate had just been entered into the system, and he switched to his friend's car. Little did he know, his friend's car was also compromised. Alan had used it before to withdraw money, and that day, the capture team had entered its plate number into the recognition system. Today, as they drove confidently, their whereabouts were quickly exposed. Later, the capture team used real-time monitoring at major transport hubs and finally spotted Alan at the train station. Although the capture team arrived after Alan had boarded the train, it was headed to London. The hunters only needed to set a trap at London's train station. Unaware of his exposure, Alan was captured immediately after getting off the train. Alan's initial strategy was sound, but due to various concerns, he made multiple long-distance moves and kept contacting friends, which increasingly put him at a disadvantage. Alan became the third contestant to be eliminated. Meanwhile, Emily and Lauren, having split up, each faced different situations. Emily continued using her original strategy of hitchhiking and relying on strangers for help, while Lauren stayed put, abandoning the hitchhiking plan in favor of spending £100 to take a taxi to the Peak District to set up camp. Initially, Lauren did not want to hitchhike. It was Emily's idea. Now that they have separated, it's uncertain who will be captured first. The next contestants introduced are from the fifth group, a programmer and a heating engineer. Initially, their strategy was to head to a rural holiday cottage and disappear deep into the countryside. To gather more clues, the capture team searched the brothers' home and found a mobile phone. From the weather app, they learned of a location. When they asked one of the brothers' wives about it, she blurted out that they had a holiday cottage there. The capture team rushed there but found nothing as the brothers had not yet arrived. Relying on walking, the brothers were slow. Deeming the holiday cottage lead a dead end, possibly misled by the wives, the capture team abandoned this clue. After walking for a few days, the brothers spotted some bicycles in front of a store. They went inside and asked the owner for a discount, explaining they had little money and one was a plumber. Hearing he was a plumber, the owner immediately asked him to fix a tap, and in return, gave them 2 bicycles and a box of food for free. A true act of kindness that made travel easier for the brothers. Now let's look at the 6th group of contestants. Adam, 25 years old, is a caregiver with a boyish charm. He has a boyfriend. Adam had no specific escape strategy. Initially, he had a friend drive him out of the city, then went camping in the wilderness. After the police spotted his friend's car, the capture team investigated at Adam's friend's home. When asked about Adam, she immediately started crying, saying Adam had gone to an area resembling an industrial zone. Skeptical, the capture team hid a bug in her house and confirmed she was lying. Adam then moved to several locations, but ultimately, his decision to take a bus exposed his whereabouts. The capture team, using surveillance, tracked down Adam and successfully captured him at the bus terminal. On the other side, the brothers were joyfully cycling through the mountains, experiencing various lifestyles. The capture team sent personnel again to check their holiday cottage, but arrived too early and found no clues. They also asked the neighbors about the brothers. After the hunters left, the brothers finally reached the cottage and were about to rest, when a neighbor informed them that many people had been looking for them recently. The holiday cottage was compromised, so they had to continue fleeing on their bicycles. Now let's look at the last 2 groups of contestants. The 7th group, Freddie and his mother-in-law Jacques, first went to a friend's house, then hid in a temporary holiday park in Kest. The capture team had not paid much attention to this group, but unexpectedly encountered the brothers on bicycles heading to a cottage in another city. Jacques saw the hunters' black car, panicked, and ran away, making a lot of noise and alerting the hunters. At that point, the capture team thought they were a married couple. Freddie and Jacques then made a foolish move by drawing the curtains during the day, making them more conspicuous. The capture team quickly discovered and captured them, pleased with the unexpected catch. The final group is a couple who had been married for a year. Their escape strategy involved camping and walking, which was very physically demanding. Additionally, the wife was pregnant and just beginning to feel the effects, often feeling nauseous and uncomfortable. The couple found it hard to stay only in comfortable environments and had to keep moving, mostly staying in tents, which they found unpleasant. They decided to leave the wilderness and go to London to watch a match. Before leaving, they sent a postcard to the capture team to divert their attention. However, the capture team was not without resources. They immediately gathered all personnel, mapped out the couple's network, and monitored key contacts, including phone calls and text messages. After watching the match, the couple did not rush to leave, but instead visited a colleague's house nearby. Through this colleague, they contacted another friend to help them relocate. To avoid detection, they did not make a call, but sent a text message instead. The hunters quickly noticed this message because its content was odd. Moreover, the couple's friends and colleagues were mutual acquaintances, arousing the hunters' suspicion. Consequently, the couple was trapped at the colleague's house. Once surrounded by the hunters, failure was inevitable. Although they tried to escape through the backyard, it was futile. The couple was eliminated. Now only 2 groups remain: the brothers and Emily and Lauren, who are escaping separately. Lauren continued her steady escape, while Emily, unable to resist missing her family, took a bus back to see her son. Emily traveled without a ticket due to lack of money, but safely reached home, saw her young son, and managed to escape again. Despite frequently putting herself in danger, the hunters could not catch Emily. With 1 week left, the capture team froze the bank accounts of the remaining contestants. As the competition neared its end, the contestants needed to head to an airport to escape by plane. Reaching the plane meant victory. The location of the airport was unknown to the capture team. The reason they eventually found the location is interesting and involves Emily. Previously, a woman had helped Emily withdraw money. Suspecting that Emily might be hiding at this woman's daughter's house, the team investigated and found it to be true. However, they arrived too late, as Emily had already left for the airport. Not wanting to leave empty-handed, the hunters offered £250 for information on Emily's whereabouts. A young person disclosed Emily's destination. The hunter team then checked the passenger lists of all airports in the area, identified the boarding location of the 2 groups, and confirmed they would be on the same small plane. In the end, Emily and Lauren, escaping separately, successfully met at the final destination and boarded the plane. Soon after, the brother duo also arrived and boarded. The hunters could not catch them. Both groups successfully escaped and won £100,000 in 28 days. Let's congratulate the sister duo and the brother duo for winning this season's prize.